on my student loan.
I had to leave school and go to work. Now I have to pay back student loans for a degree I don't have. Fortunately, I found assistance.
Back in college, I figured they wouldn't lend me more than I could easily pay back. Boy, was I wrong. Thankfully, I got the help I needed to pay back my loan in full.
Sound familiar? The good news is that student loan repayment options are available. We're the NFCC, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, a nonprofit organization with member offices nationwide that provide comprehensive financial reviews and student loan counseling. NFCC certified consumer credit counselors provide one-on-one financial counseling and can help you evaluate options for making student loan payments, reducing interest, debt consolidation, or even loan rehabilitation. Call 877-406-6322 or visit us online at studentloanhelp.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Steve Wunker, author of Costovation. Steve, I think it was on page 23 in your book that you list 5 methods of how we can see our industry maybe in a different light. So if we're hearing this and say, yeah, but I'm not good at that, or, what have you, can you take us through those 5 methods?
You bet. So, it's important to note that this is not just for big companies. This is for small companies. This is for nonprofits, any sort of organization that you can do this. So we start out, number one, with looking at your industry from afar and really questioning what are the things that have been baked into this model, which if you landed from Mars wouldn't make any sense. And an example is the market for flowers. We use an example in the book that it takes 2 weeks for flowers to go from a farm to a customer's household. And so then they only have about a week of shelf life left. Now, that's crazy, but by really looking at that, companies have been able to target that humongous lead time. Secondly, look at things through a microscope. Look at those little pieces and really think broadly about what you might be able to do. Jet.com is an example that we use. They look at the costs of assembling orders from different warehouses, for instance, something that the typical e-commerce customer doesn't even think about, and they offer customers a discount for ordering things that might be at the same warehouse. Then thirdly, really look through the customer's eyes. Get out of the conference room. Get out of your own skin and start really talking with customers from their perspective. My last book was called Jobs to be Done, and that was all on that topic, so we don't go super in-depth in this book. But it's really important to center your analysis on the customer, not on your own company. And then fourth, do some reframing. Really think about, okay, could we look at customers in different ways? Instead of looking at them through demographics, for instance, which is convenient data, but not really causal in terms of the way that demographics drive demand for certain products or experiences typically. Think about them by what people are really trying to accomplish in their lives. And then finally, think about your suppliers and your value chain. Start with the customers, but then think about the rest of the business and your partnerships. And where are the cost drivers or potential avenues for simplification that lie in the back office, things that the customer is never going to see, but which are still really important for your overall business economics.
And I was thinking as you're giving us that list, Steve, you mentioned before the smaller business, the small accounting firm, which small might be anywhere from 1 or 2 people to 25 people. But if they just take a different look at their business, the things that might be available, the small law firm, a plumbing company, restaurant chain in town, even small stores that we're dealing with. I think you mentioned in the book some store, the more you put in your wagon, the bigger the discount they'll give you at the – did I get that right? Or
yeah, that's Jet.com. So not a small business anymore, but it started out that way for sure.
And, what a great idea. If you're buying more at one time, your incentive is to hit the next level, whatever that might be. I'm going to use $20 levels. But if I've got something for $78, well, I'm going to buy $3 or $4 more just to get myself over that next level. And the 3 or 4 might be, instead of $3 or $4, maybe it's a $25 or $40 purchase. And perhaps even then I'm looking at another level, just a little above that. So I think there's obviously a lot of incentives out there. And I love the list you gave us. I think we talked about it before the show on page 25 for a business. Some of the ways that we could kind of stimulate ourselves to do this. So could you take us through some of those ideas?
Sure, you bet. So this stuff is actually derived from a Soviet scientist, believe it or not, who created this system for innovation, which was so innovative he got put into one of Stalin's labor camps. But he had some really good stuff, which is laid often unexamined. And what we've tried to do is to simplify that. So list out the common assumptions about your product. Or your industry, really basic, long-held things, right? So, somebody buying flowers has to buy them from a florist, for instance, and then really think about what would happen if each assumption were suspended and the pros and cons of that. Think about where this product or service came from, and then compare it to the current state. We were talking earlier in the show about healthcare. Wow, healthcare in 2018 is completely different than in 1960 in some good ways and in some not so good ways as well. It's certainly a heck of a lot more expensive. So dialing back the clock and looking at how things used to be before things got so complex can be really instructive. Think about the customers you hate because it's so hard to make money from them. They're either so demanding or they hate to pay the sort of price premium that you want. What do you hate about them? What do they not like about you? Is there something that you could offer them which is really distinctive and not going to cannibalize your core business, but still be very compelling in the marketplace? So there's a lot of these sorts of questions that lead people down avenues that they may have never thought about, but which really get you out of your own skin and start looking fresh at this industry.
Steve, once again, I'd like to let our audience know our guest today is Stephen Wunker, W-U-N-K-E-R. The book is Costovation, and it's spelled just as it sounds, Costovation. Steve, can you tell us where it's available and if there's a website where we can learn more?
Sure thing. It is on all the online sites like Amazon. You can find it at Barnes & Noble and Hudson News. And you can also find it at Costovation.com, where you can download one of the first chapter, actually, for free, and get a glimpse at some of the tools that we've got in there.
Steve, and again, this one being a senior, I particularly like, you mentioned about the cell phone for seniors, and you talk about that as an example in your book. Could you tell our audience about that?
Sure. The company that we talk about is Consumer Cellular, although there are other ones, too. A lot of seniors aren't looking to watch TV on their phones, and they're not looking to have 500 apps and keep up to date on all their Twitter feeds. They just want a phone. And so Consumer Cellular has come in as a virtual network operator, and they provide simple handsets with a simple service at a low price. And that's it. They don't have the jazziest TV ads or barely any TV ads. They are simply a nice value offering. It's the Costco of cellular service. And there's a big segment out there that doesn't want all the bells and whistles. They want the simple, comprehensible offering.
And I think that's such a good one because the seniors, you have a large market. Most of us aren't familiar with the cell phone to use all of the benefits. So if a cell phone is, I'm going to take an arbitrary number, $300, maybe we're only using $100 worth of those benefits to make a call and get a text or something limited. Why do we need them all? It's just confusing us and more bells and whistles. And really, what a great idea. And you get the seniors on your side and you're saving them significant money at a point in life when that's very important to them.
Right, and they keep it, even the whole offering is simple. There's no contract, because seniors are loyal anyway, but there's no contract. There's no peak pricing. There's no out-of-network charges. All the things that confuse and nickel and dime people, they just keep it simple, flat rate, and that really works.
One of your pieces of advice in the book, Steve, you say, look at business through the customer's eyes. So I did this in preparing for the show. I was in a doctor's office. I had an appointment, I think it was for 9:30. They said, could I come in later in the morning because the doctor was going to be in surgery? I agreed. But as you might guess, I went in, I sat there, and I said, is the doctor in? They said, no. Do you know when he's coming in? No. It would have been nice if someone said that to me, or at least said, we're not sure when he's in, as I entered, rather than sitting there for half an hour and waiting. I watched other people come in. The staff didn't go out of their way to help. Apparently, the doctor's medical group has 2 or 3 offices within local counties. One lady made an appointment in the wrong office, so she would have to go about 20 miles to get there. And rather than help her, they said, you can go out and call the other office and, change the appointment. Well, yes, of course you could do that, but nobody helped her. It was just very interesting to see it through my eyes because I thought, wow, do they need Costovation and do they need Steve to be in here and helping them? So who do you advise? Should the person themselves do this? Do you hire an agency? Do you get secret shoppers to do this to find out more?
Look, you can always hire an agency, and I run an agency, so I'm not opposed to that.
So call Steve.
Well, look, most folks can't do that, right? And even if we have clients call us, sometimes really, really big clients, I am a fierce advocate of, all right, we'll go do a lot of legwork, but you got to come too. You have to go meet these customers yourself and not just read some fancy PowerPoint, but actually do some of these interviews yourselves and go out and meet customers in their homes or whatever else we're doing to make it real. People absorb that better. They get much richer ideas that way. And honestly, the people who live the business day to day are the ones who know it a lot better than some consultant. So if they're not really engaged, you're missing most of your horsepower on the project.
You make a great point with that, and people have obviously in any business, in any company, this is what they do every day. They should be seeing it, and hopefully something lights things up. Perhaps the show tonight will do that for them. We'd like to make sure our audience knows that the book is Costovation, Costovation, just one word. It's by our guest Stephen Wunker, Wunker. And Stephen, once again, would you tell us the website where we can find out more?
Well, we try to keep it simple, so it's Costovation.com.
You did a great job. Congratulations. Thanks for being with us this evening. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.